Welcome to Inside the Capitol, your update on what's happening at the Minnesota Legislature through a Catholic lens. Now that the regular session and special session are over, Governor Tim Walz has signed dozens of bills into law.
Motion prevails.
It did take legislators an extra 2 days during a special session to get all the bills finalized and passed. This session, advocacy from Catholic constituents led to many legislative victories for life and dignity in Minnesota. In this episode, we'll cover some of those successes and also talk about some unfinished business. For the first time in 33 years, thousands of families who depend on financial assistance from the Minnesota Family Investment Program, or MFIP, will receive an extra $100 per month.
The folks who access MFIP are hard-working families who want the best for their kids. A family of 3 accessing MFIP receives a maximum of $532 a month. So just imagine, on the back of a napkin trying to balance your family's budget on $532 a month. When I'm at my office, I have a stack of paper about this high with letters and postcards that moms who are accessing MFIP around the state have written what they would do if they had an additional $100 a month. And these are not extravagant wishes. The lack of dignity is evident in the examples that they share with me about what they would do with just a little bit more money every month.
During Catholics at the Capitol, more than 1,000 Catholics from across Minnesota spoke up for legislation that would help women to choose life. 3 separate bills, all focused on the first 1,000 days of a child's life, are now signed into law. These bills include grants to improve access to prenatal care, transportation funding for pregnant and parenting students so they can get to and from educational opportunities for them and their child, and funding for home visiting programs, which new parents can opt into to help their child get off to a great start. This session, pro-lifers across Minnesota also spoke up to defend against funding cuts to the Positive Alternatives Program, which helps connect pregnant women with life-affirming resources and alternatives to abortion. Full funding of this program was agreed to during the special session negotiation. Not only did Catholics across Minnesota help to get these bills enacted into law, but your advocacy efforts also prevented several bad bills from becoming law. During Catholics at the Capitol, attendees lobbied in support of the Surrogacy Abuse Prevention Act. Not only did their efforts grow support for the Surrogacy Abuse Prevention Act, but it also helped defeat a bill that would have allowed for commercial surrogacy here in Minnesota. Members of the Catholic Advocacy Network also made their voices loud and clear to halt a comprehensive sex education bill that would have allowed for Planned Parenthood to teach in the classroom. Although the House passed this bill, by speaking out against it, advocates helped keep it out of the final education bill that was agreed to at the end of special session. Another major victory for life prevented the legalization of physician-assisted suicide here in Minnesota. The bill was introduced, but after advocates made it clear that physician-assisted suicide undermines the real care that every Minnesotan deserves, the bill never received a hearing. While these are just a few of the many victories that we had during session, your work as an advocate isn't finished yet. Next session, there will be many opportunities to fight for life and human dignity and the common good here in Minnesota. The fight for school choice continues.
Education is the most critical role in a child's development. It gives us the foundation we need for the rest of our lives. But what happens when a child can't get the education he or she deserves? Whether the local public school is underperforming or the private schools are too expensive, the results for the child can be devastating. But we all need the power to choose.
The Opportunity Scholarship Program was not included in the final tax bill. This program, which is opposed by special interest groups, would provide privately funded scholarships to low and middle income families so that their children can attend the school of their choice. As Catholics, we continue to fight for every child's right to attend a school that best meets their needs, regardless of their zip code or family's financial status. A second bill affecting driving safety fell short this session as well. The Freedom to Drive bill would have enabled all Minnesotans, regardless of their citizenship status, to obtain a driver's license after passing the driving exam and would have required them to have insurance.
As a religious leader, I wish to focus today on the moral imperative of passing this legislation.
Yes, yes.
It assists with a very basic component of what people need to subsist in modern life: transportation, to school, to work, to church. Most of us cannot even begin to imagine what loss of movement or the fear of being deported and separated from our beloved families while doing so would mean in our lives. It is a terrible fear to impose on people and families in our community.
One final bill that did not pass this session deals with restoring voter rights to people convicted of a felony once they have served their sentence. As it currently stands, Minnesotans lose the right to vote until they've been released from supervision, including while they're living in our communities, working to support themselves and families, and paying taxes. While these bills may not have cleared their final hurdles, it doesn't mean the issues are dead for next session. Also, things that we were successful at getting done this session may still come under attack next session. Catholics must remain vigilant and always keep their faith in the public arena. This summer, you can continue to advocate for life and dignity by attending town halls held by your legislators. You can also invite your legislators to a coffee meeting with your friends, family, and neighbors, and even fellow parishioners. Continue to build relationships with them so that when they return to the Capitol, you can be a resource for them. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Inside the Capitol. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, like us on Instagram and Twitter, and make sure you share this video with your friends. Also, make sure you join us for the next edition of Inside the Capitol.